is not good. We need a media person. I can't.
You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job.
CTV Global, if you see my resume when the market collapses, just don't hire me. I can't operate a camera. All right. I don't want to be like super serious and uber serious either, right? What happens when you flub and you're beside Darryl? Hello, internet and social media. And we're going to redo this because I don't know what the fuck it is I'm saying.
Am I in this shot?
No, you're totally like off.
Oh.
It's like it's here because I'm wide. So I'm wondering how the hell I got this here. Hello, internets and social media. Welcome to the Capital Region Real Estate Show. We're going to be talking about news, stats, buying, selling, investing real estate, and unique and interesting perspectives that are going to affect you, dear viewer, if you are in the Edmonton, Alberta area up here in the Great White North of Canada. If you're tuning in locally in the Edmonton area, I am author, speaker, consultative real estate professional, and your host, Justin Lefevre from the Empower Real Estate Group. RECA compliance brokerage details down below here. I'm also hanging out with my co-business partner and co-host, Sandra Umrysh, aka Sandstorm, aka, so is it aka or is it AKA?
AKA.
Is it AKA? Maybe we should redo that. I'm hanging out here with my co-business partner and co-host, Sandy Umrysh, aka Sandstorm. You got a bunch of other nicknames. Yeah, awesome realtor. Basically, she's an awesome realtor. That's all you need to know. So if you are tuning in from afar, maybe you're an Oilers fan that's been transplanted to the United States, in Europe, in Asia. We actually had somebody call on one of our listings from Kazakhstan. They were contractors over there. So if you're tuning in from afar on the internet, hello. It is not super cold right now, but it will be because it's Edmonton. So this is the very first episode of the Capital Region Real Estate Show. I'm quite excited. Been wanting to do this for quite some time and bring some fun, entertaining, and educational information to you, the viewers. What day is it today?
It is Friday, August 4th.
Friday, August 4th. Mark it on the calendar, 2017, the day the show started, and we got all of 3 views on Facebook. Sandy's mom, my mom, and maybe my wife, if I'm lucky. So thanks for tuning in. This is episode 1. So to kick things off, we're going to turn it over to Sandy here and do a segment called Stats on the Sofa with Sandy, aka the Sandstorm. So tell us what we're looking at in terms of how much inventory we have on the market as of July 31st last month.
Yeah, so July 31st we had 6,598 listings.
How much inventory is that on a monthly supply basis?
5.38.
5.38. So one of the things you'll see, and we'll put this up on the screen, Sandy, you can show maybe the secondary camera there, but if you take a look at the stats, when we've got between 2.5 to 3.5 months of inventory, so roughly about 3 months, that's called a balanced market. We get questions all the time about, is it a buyer's market, it is a seller's market, and the reality is, it's such a loaded question. To pick it apart, you have to understand what are your goals, what segment of the market are you looking at, and then how do those statistics affect your perspective. So the reality is, Sandy just got a deal pending like 30 minutes before we turn the cameras on. So, the market's busy, but what's the absorption rate right now? Let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah, so sure. So it's indicated as 18.58% for the Edmonton Capital Region.
Right, so 18.58%. What that means is, if 100 listings come on, less than 19 of them are going to be selling based on the current market conditions. And frankly, that's not the greatest statistics. I hate that this is episode 1 and we're being a little bit negative off the bat, but the plus side is, if you are the 1 out of 5 that has the right plan, the right professional, and the right perspective, well, somebody like Sandy will come along with a buyer and they'll buy your condo. So congrats to, what was his name today? Connor. If you're watching this on the YouTubes and the social medias, good job, man. You got a smoking deal looking at those comps. Super happy. So in terms of, if you own a house or if you're looking at buying something, let's talk about what the breakdown is in the market. Where is the majority of homes being listed right now?
Okay, well, showing here, it's about 1/3 is under 300,000. And then 1/3 is from 300,000 to just shy of 400. So 399,999. 399,999.
399,999. So basically $1 less than 400,000. So you're saying roughly 2/3 is under that $400,000 mark, and then going above that, what kind of price breakdowns do we see? Without getting into the 1 and 2 percentiles.
Yeah, sure. So between the 400,000 and just under 500,000, you're looking at an 18.5%. So that translates roughly about 1,426 homes the market right now. And then when you go a step up between the 500,000 rather and just shy of 600,000, you're looking at 8.4.
And what's that top number? 599,999?
Just 599 actually.
Just 599. We're not adding the extra 999 in there. No, that's just too much. That's too many nines. Well, and interestingly enough, I mean, and I'm looking at your stats there. So average days on market, 52 days for the average residential listing in the Edmonton area. You know, and if you zoom in, second camera there, zoom. You can kind of see, I mean, 52 days, you know, we've kind of been hovering between, 50, maybe 49, 48 days, all the way up to just over 60 days, basically for the last year. And I know in 2016, I don't know what year it is right now, 2016 here, it was really very much the same. And a lot of that has, again, to do with current economic conditions and supply and demand, and then, what Ottawa's doing with lending policies. But that's okay. You can still win if
You're working with the right professional and your goals are on point.
Working with the right professional and your goals are on point. So talking about stats, that's a lot of fun stuff. If you want downloads, visit our social media. Right down here, you can go to facebook.com/Empower Real Estate Group. We're going to be posting a lot of these infographics on there every single month. And you can also hit us up anytime if you want us to email you those details. We're not going to spam you or send you any links or unsolicited messages. So we'll put the link somewhere down here and wait for the credits at the end of the show. And you can get in touch with us that way if you want a copy of these listing details here. Okay, so let's jump into some fun stuff, a little segment we like to call The Rich and the Cheap. So what is The Rich and the Cheap? Well, we're going to look at listings that have sold over the $7-figure million mark. $7-figure million mark? 7 million? The 7-figure mark, I'm doing that again. It's AKA the 7-figure mark, AKA the $1 million level and up. We like to give a broad perspective of the market, what's selling on the high end, and then if you're just starting out and you want to know what's the cheapest home I could probably get in the Edmonton area, we're going to cover those every single month. So this month, Sandy's got a list of 14 homes. These are the 14 homes in the Edmonton area that have sold for over $1 million just in July. And it's really interesting. I had a conversation with a client earlier this morning about how you go back a few years and Edmonton would celebrate if we had a certain number of listings actually selling in the 7-figure level. And right now it's kind of a routine thing despite the market being a little bit soft. So Sandy's holding a printout there. We got 14 listings selling over the $1 million mark just in July alone, and that doesn't include these 4 or 5 acreage listings that we'll get to in a second here. But what's the spread on those $1 million listings that the rich people are buying?
Well, we got 1,050,000 being on the number 14 on the list, all the way up to 3,880,000.
If you're watching, because we were chatting about this, congrats on your purchase. You got a really, really great deal. Sellers got a really good price. You guys paid a really good deal for a great home in Windsor Park. If you don't know where Windsor Park is, it's the really nice area by the University of Alberta, right on the cusp of the River Saskatchewan. See, I'm getting that right. Should we say Saskatchewan North? And so what was the highest price listing to sell over $1 million?
Well, that was in MacIntyre, and that sold for $3,350,000.
Oh, wow. MacIntyre. Nice.
Actually, the top 2 were from MacIntyre.
Really? Yeah. Well, and isn't it kind of interesting, if you notice it, because I noticed it, I'm sure you noticed it too, but if you look at the neighborhoods where all of these listings are, they're all west and southwest. Which is very, very interesting. Not to say that north side and east side don't have a lot of expensive homes, because they certainly do, but little random tidbit there. How are we doing so far? If you're having fun, post in the comments below, whether you're on social media, Facebook, YouTube, or you see this somewhere else. I don't know, what other social media networks are there? You can't Snapchat like a 38-minute video, can you? I don't even know how Snapchat works. I'm not on it. Whatever, no judgment there. Okay, so that's in town. Let's talk about acreage listings. Check this out. We got 5 acreage listings in and around the Edmonton area, all selling for over $1 million. Edmonton area, it's kind of interesting too. Like literally, it's like a star, right? Like 5 points or 5 fingers around the city. What are the price points?
Okay, well, the lowest being, again, $1 million. Pretty consistent there. And the highest being $1.5 million.
Nice. Well, there's some good stuff, good action moving in that market. Moving towards the cheap, and by cheap we just mean price point. It doesn't mean that there's anything necessarily wrong with the home. I mistakenly printed this listing out, and I didn't realize it was a vacant lot, so that doesn't count, which leaves us with this beautiful listing here in the neighborhood of...
Well, it was sold for $147,000.
Newton. North End, kind of north central, south of the Yellowhead, north of downtown. Really nice area, 1950s built.
1947.
1947. So post World War II, a lot of development kind of happened out in that area at that time. So you get these really cute homes on usually some pretty decent sized lots. If you're looking for infill or a big yard, that's a great neighborhood to be looking at. So that's single family, and then we got a couple condos here. Yeah.
So in the Glengarry area, there's a condo that sold for $58,600.
$58,000. Was it a 3-bedroom or was it a no bedroom?
It was a 1-bedroom.
It was a 1-bedroom. So you got a bedroom. You almost paid $60,000. You got yourself a wall with a door for your bed. They got a bedroom. That's good. So if you're looking, Glengarry, $60,000 or just a touch under, we'll get you a 1-bedroom condo. Where's the next one there?
The next one is in Queen Mary Park, and that one sold for $73,000.
$73,000. Did it also have a room?
It had 2 bedrooms.
It had 2 bedrooms. Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. 2-bedroom in Queen Mary Park for how much?
It sold for $73,000, and the square footage was just under 650.
That's fantastic. So whoever scored that deal, Queen Mary Park, again, if you're not familiar with it, just on the cusp of northwest downtown, really close to 107 Ave, so you're walking distance to shops and shopping and amenities. You're quick distance away from all of the stuff going on 104 Ave in the Oliver area and the new brewery district. And of course, what street was that on?
113th Street.
113th Street, so you're not that far away from Rogers Place. Really great spot to be if you're owning the dirt nearby. So that is the August edition of The Rich and the Cheap. Let's jump into some news headlines. We're going to do some rapid fire stuff, and we're going to pull it up here on the screen behind me. So here's the first story. Sandy, what do you think about this? Lady has a hybrid electric vehicle, parks it at her condo, and the condo bylaws say you're only supposed to be able to put block heaters into the plug-ins, not an electric car. So she does this for 2 weeks until she's found out, and then they say you can't do this anymore. And they tell her you got to spend something like $10,000 to put in a hybrid charging station if she wants to continue plugging her car in. What do you think about that?
Well, it's interesting because she as a consumer should have known the bylaws prior to going into such an event. So that's on her end. She should have taken more responsibility to ensure that she was following the guidelines and procedures and bylaws for that. So it's saying that, I think that's like anything. That's like getting a pet. That's like it's like any bylaw. Technically, you should be knowing your parameters of the condo association of which you're entitled and enrolled with. So
I didn't even ask her to say that. She totally jumped on it like a pro. So if you're looking at condos, you can call me, but I mean, Sandy's way cooler, so you should just give her a call. I tend to agree with the Condo Corp. I know it sounds kind of heartless, but the reality is, if you're going to go buy into a property like that, you should know what the bylaws are. Now, let's say, and the article doesn't really say if she bought the car after all of this happened, or if she bought the car after she moved in there, or if she had the car before she moved in. But at the end of the day, I mean, the board's kind of right. Like, you're plugging a car in, that takes a lot of juice.
Yeah, however, we're going into a different time that would suggest more energy conservation. So things like this are going to be popping up a lot more often. So being a little more proactive and preemptive, condo boards should actually be looking at this in regards to future forward thinking.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at a lot of retail developments now, they've got Tesla charging stations and smart car plug-in stations. So, no, I'm with the condo board. I think they're behind the times. So if you're a condo developer out there, you definitely maybe want to consider that, because you're right. I think this is going to be more and more common as we see electric cars becoming more popular. So we said rapid fire, though. Let's jump to the next one. This is a really interesting one. Sandy, tell me what you think about this.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we talked about this yesterday, but buyer goes unconditional on a property in Vancouver with a $60,000 deposit, again, just over the $1 million mark, and then walks from the deal. We don't know why. It is what it is. It's going to the courts right now, and the seller got a judgment against that buyer for $360,000, because what ended up happening is when the first buyer didn't close on the deal, they had to end up relisting and reselling it, and they sold it for $900 some odd thousand. That's a big spread, and so the courts awarded that seller because the first buyer was in breach of their contract. What do you think?
Well, I think when an individual goes into a contract, it is legally binding, and it does spell it out right there for you in regards to what the legal ramifications can be if you were to, the repercussions going out of it. So in this circumstance, I really do feel for the seller, and I think he was in his lawful right to go after the buyer on that.
Good on the judge. Now, that's not to say if you don't remove your conditions on a deal before they're due, that you're going to be in this scenario. That's why you have conditions on a deal. But if you go in unconditional and then decide not to close, or you can't close, which may have been the case here, there's some repercussions you got to be aware of. It's kind of dangerous. A little bit of a jerk move, too.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Yeah, I say I'm with the seller on this one.
Yeah. Agreed. Now, this one is not really real estate related, but it kind of caught my eye. It's quite interesting. Airlines industry's calculated misery. There's actually a term for what they do to you when they herd you onto a plane like cattle. Like, if you believe it or not. So they're scientifically trying to figure out, well, if we cut their legroom here and put an extra seat there.
Yeah, I actually saw that on the news the other day.
Yeah.
It's gone down like 3 or 4 inches or something ridiculous.
And I need all the inches I can get when I'm, trying to get a seat on a plane. I mean, if the seat is too small, it's not going to be fun. I feel bad for the guy sitting beside me, though. That could totally be misconstrued in so many different ways. Be mature, internet. Be mature. I may take that out. We'll see. Like, literally, they're just basically trying to upsell on every little aspect that makes our airplane ride comfortable, which, frankly, I don't blame them, because last time I checked, I didn't own the plane. So if that's kind of the price I got to pay to get a comfortable seat on a plane, well, kind of sucks, but it is what it is. What do you think? You travel more than I do, so...
Well, I think there should be a base. We travel a lot, and I don't think, because you have a few extra bucks, then you can get more, like you said, amenities to make your ride a little bit more comfortable. I don't know. I think I'm disagreeing with this one. I think that's just a cash cow, considering even the airlines tack on even more
baggage fees.
Baggage fees.
Well, but they give you free pretzels. There's like 4.
No, on one of the trips, I never even got that.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh man, I always get pretzels.
Brutal.
I take it for my kids when they're not looking. I'm like, Daddy wants a pretzels. So going to the next article here, more than 1/3 of young Canadian adults live with their parents, according to the 2016 census data that's been released. I don't know why this one didn't load. The interwebs are a little bit slow today, but I find this kind of fascinating. If you read the stats there, they're saying roughly 1/3 of all young adults between the ages of 20 and 34 are still living at home. So the interesting part with that is, in Alberta here, actually that rate is much lower. It's 1 in 4, or roughly 25% of young adults aged 20 to 34 are still living at home, according to this article. But places like Vancouver and Toronto, you actually have a higher incidence, more than that national average. Why do you think that is?
Oh, the house prices are a lot more expensive in those regions than it is in Edmonton here.
Ballin' expensive. Like a knockdown's $1 million in the middle of Vancouver. And that's probably not even accurate. I'm sure there's Vancouver realtors saying, no, it's 1.3 million, aka 7 million figures. So house prices are expensive in urban areas. It is what it is. Okay, back to the rapid fire pace, keeping it fast. Let's do the last article here. And this is interesting, touching again on expensive house prices in places like Vancouver and Toronto. Specifically in Toronto here, this article comes to us from the Toronto Star, and they're talking about the data from Airbnb and how a large percentage of commercial operators are actually the ones raking in all the profits, when really the platform was truly designed for the regular homeowner to rent out extra space in their home or rent their house out when they're not using it. What's your take on that? Do you think people should be able to do whatever they want with their house, even if they own 10 of them? Get a load of this listing here in Toronto. It's listed for $1,500 a night. This place is absolutely gorgeous, but I can understand if the neighbors, they're complaining because they got all these yahoos from Alberta going over there for a Jays game, causing a ruckus. What's your take on it? I mean, you've had roommates at your place before. You're considering renting your place out. There's a plug if you want to live in Terwilliger. Sandy may have a rental for you coming up. Great little place. What's your take on it in terms of the Airbnb market?
Well, again, this is a home, but in regards to the condo corporation, going back again to the bylaws and restrictions and regulations, you really have to understand before you do your Airbnb or you get the renters in, if there are bylaws that negate that process or any additional monies that have to be displayed before doing that, read your bylaws. However, with the idea with it's your home, you can do whatever you want with it, yes and no.
Yeah.
That's a very gray subject, I think.
We're playing in the gray. It's not black and white.
It's not black and and white with this one.
No, it really isn't, because I feel for, like, if you're in a condo, right, and it specifically says, well, you know, one family per unit can dwell in there according to the bylaws, and then you've got somebody moving 3 different, you know, families, like husband, wife, husband, wife, husband, wife. You know, I can see how that can be a bit of a challenge, because it puts more strain on the infrastructure of the building. This one here, you can see, is a condo in the entertainment district in Toronto. It's kind of a gray area, hey?
Well, it is a gray area for a couple of reasons. One, you have bylaws that when you're involved with condo corps, as we mentioned and touched on the other segment here, but when you start renting out your property for Airbnb, well, then it also begs the question, are you submitting that on your taxes? So
it's very true.
Very true. So again, gray area.
I don't think there's a black and white answer there. It's like kind of yes, kind of no. And then I think the article is really getting in that a lot of these people that are making the most amount of money from it are these, again, individuals with multiple Airbnb listings or corporations that own many, many homes. And they're doing this, and they're the bulk of the profits. But really, is that any different from, you know, any industry where there's the top of the top and they make the most, and then the bottom are kind of left to pick up the pieces?
Well, I thought this was also interesting, a little stat here. It was saying that there are now 81,000 active listings in 3 cities alone.
Wow.
Up from 50,000 in May of 2016.
Now, are they saying that's just for Canada, or is that like for North America as a whole?
In Canada specifically.
Wow.
But 3 cities in Canada. I'm not saying Canada as an overall, but just 3 cities specifically.
Wow, that's a lot of listings. Well, there you go. If you're looking to do some Airbnb stuff, you should probably... oh, there it is. Yeah, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver.
Yeah.
Definitely check with your bylaws. That kind of seems to be the unofficial theme. We weren't planning on it, but you know, if you got a condo, read your bylaws before you buy. What do you do?
Check your bylaws.
Check your bylaws, aka the busy for shizzy, so you don't get in trouble. So that was the rapid fire news headline section. Hopefully you got a lot of information out of that. If you have a condo, Sandy, what are you supposed to do?
Check the bylaws.
Check the bylaws. Check it before you wreck it. Otherwise you're going to get in trouble. So this is actually really a nice segue, because what we're working on right now is authoring a book called
House Hacks.
House Hack, and that is the art of getting money from your house without buying rental property. So what we're talking really is kind of similar to what Airbnb is doing from a platform standpoint. You're doing that with your personal residence. We have a number of different clients where they've opted to rent out a 2nd bedroom or a 3rd bedroom, or maybe they buy a place with 2 masters, they get a roommate, that person moves in, and they're getting cheaper rent and they get the run of a whole house, and the individual that's our client ends up mitigating a lot of their costs. So we really wanted to put that in book form. Sandy's the co-author. Her and I actually both have a chapter each in this book, because we've done the house hack ourselves personally. That's actually how we met, hey?
Yeah, actually.
How long ago has that been?
Oh, we're working on about 5 years, I believe.
Is it 5?
Yeah, 4
Holy
5.
smokes.
Long years.
Edit that part. I mean, yeah, that's Sandy was actually a client before I said, you're crazy, you should get your real estate license, because you do really well. And clearly she is. So if you're interested in the book, we're going to put a link down below. There's going to be a link in the credits. We're going to be doing some social media stuff surrounding that over the next few weeks here. And again, the book is called House Hack, The Art of Getting Cash Money from Your House Without Owning like another rental property. So that's House Hack. Stay tuned for that to drop on the social internet media webs. So with that, that is episode 1. Very first episode of the Capital Region Real Estate Show. How was it?
Fantastic.
Yeah, see, Sandy's actually, she's been a news anchor before. So Darryl MacIntyre, if you're watching, thank you for coaching her. She's doing great. She's doing way better than me, because I don't work with script. I really should.
I didn't work with script that one time either.
Yeah. What was it? It was like water gun robbery at K-Days?
K-Days, so you want to be an anchor. And that was a good, I guess, year, two, oh my God, almost 3 years ago.
Getting old. I know I'm horrible for saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was interesting. It was fun. I had a lot of fun with Darryl and the crew at CTV, and I had a little blip of maybe 2 minutes of where I was famous, and then I got fired at the end because I wasn't very.
They seriously fired you? That's not fun. Darryl,
Yeah.
why are you firing Sandy? You know, I'm glad you did, because she's hanging out with me now and she's killing it with clients. But yeah, first episode, Capital Region Real Estate Show. We're going to be doing a statistics and kind of a long format every single month when the stats come out. We'll be talking about the news headlines, what's going on, what we see in the market, some really interesting stories. In between, we're going to be dropping some great content as well. So definitely, if you're on Facebook, check us out at facebook.com/Empower Real Estate Group. Links are going to be down below. They're going to be in the credits of the show. If you're listening to the podcast, go to the show notes down below on, is it iTunes? This podcast or Stitcher, whatever those apps are, and you'll see a lot of the links that we're going to put out there if you're interested in reading more of the material that we're covering. Oh, almost forgot. Thanks for reminding me. We've got a $10 Starbucks gift card. So we like to give away random things. That's the random giveaway this month. So if you are on social media and you like and you share this video on your feed, we'll be paying attention and we're going to pick a randomly selected winner to receive a little $10 Starbucks gift card just for doing nothing but sharing the love that we're trying to bring you here on the Capital Region Real Estate Show. So I am Justin Lefevre. This is...
Get Empowered.
What's your name? Cut! Is this still recording? Let's check real quick. Chrono, okay, we got like a minute left.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm saying my name.
You say my name, say my name. Okay, so that's the show. I am Justin Lefevre. This is...
Sandra Umrysh.
AKA The Sandstorm, and we want to thank you for watching. As we like to say, get empowered.
Get empowered.
We'll talk to you soon.
Again.
Every single time? Seriously? Sandy gets scared when we sync the audio.